All right, guys. So we're going to do the Thursday reading today for Kafka's The Metamorphosis, and we're really going to get to the climax scene here, um, and hopefully it'll kind of click as to why this is the climax, because it is kind of awkward in books like this to identify a climax because you don't have a really defined antagonist. Because we always think of an antagonist as the bad guy, and there's not really a bad guy in this story, so it makes it hard to see where we have a climax if you lean on that traditional interpretation. But we do have a definite climax in this section. So as we left, we were dealing with these three lodgers who've showed up and who are basically, paying rent and room and board at this house. And it's kind of how they're helping supplement that the Samsas are being able to supplement their income. So Gregor doesn't like them. We kind of get that indication early on. Sorry, I turn that phone off. Get that indication kind of early on when he's complaining about them eating and enjoying the food while he's starving. But the part that really pushes this over the edge, and one of the ways you can kind of see a climax coming, is when details get stronger and we slow down and we start describing very small things, and the scene, it starts to expand, and there's more because you have to kind of build to it. So while the lodgers are getting to enjoy eating in the family room and enjoying the run of the house, the Samsons have kind of isolated themselves to the kitchen, away from them. And the daughter, Greta, starts playing her violin. And the lodgers here, they're like, hey, come out here and play. We'd love to hear it too. Well, she comes out and starts playing, and they seem to get kind of disgusted with it. These guys seem like jerks. I'm just going to be honest with you. But they seem to feel like they're not interested anymore. It says, let me read the part. It says, it was now painfully obvious that they were disappointed in what they had assumed would be a beautiful and entertaining performance, and that they were sick of the entire production, and now allowed their quiet to be disturbed only out of politeness. The way they all blew their cigar smoke out of their mouths and noses indicated great irritation. But his sister played so beautifully. Her face was turned to the side, her gaze followed the lines of notes, searching and sorrowful. So Gregor, remember now, Gregor was saving up to send her off to a music conservatory, so he really is a big fan of his sister's playing, and he sees these men kind of disrespecting her, and it makes him angry. So you can see what's coming. He starts coming out of the room, and for whatever reason, I guess the room's open now. He starts coming out of the room, and while they're listening to her play, they're kind of distracted, but eventually they do see this large bug. And they don't react the way you would think at first. It says they seem calm and more entertained by Gregor than the violin, is the line that Kafka uses. And the father kind of shoos them back to their room and tries to get them out of there. And then all of a sudden they come out and do something weird. And I think this is an example of great writing, okay? So they come out, and let me read this. One of them says, I hereby declare, he said, and raising his hand, sought the gaze of Gregor's mother and sister as well, that in consideration of the revolting conditions existing in this apartment and this family, and here without a moment's hesitation, he spat on the ground. I give notice that this instance I will naturally pay absolutely nothing for the days I have lived here. On the contrary, I will consider bringing charges against you, which will, believe me, be very easy to prove. So the key here is that and again, you want to look for weird things. If I'm at someone's house and a much larger than it should be bug comes out, I'm going to be scared and react scared. They weren't scared. They all of a sudden, though, saw an avenue so that they weren't going to have to pay. And not only are they not going to pay, they're planning on suing these people for the conditions. So it feels to me like they just saw, they saw dollar signs, and we can get something out of this, because they really weren't disturbed by the bug, it didn't seem at first. So now Gregor's family has lost this income they were counting on, and now they may even be incurring more fines. And you can see once again how Gregor is feeling more and more like he's a burden on these people. He actually thought he was helping. He was trying to defend his sister, but it went the different way that he had intended. And this is where I would believe that scene and leading into this next part is really your climax. I feel like this novel is so much more about internal conflict than it is the external. And this is where his family finally decides, we have to get rid of this bug. They've been trying to, for the sake of their son, take care of it, but they realize now that their lives cannot continue this way, and they have to get rid of him. Imagine being Gregor and hearing that your family realizes that you're so big of a burden, they cannot have you around anymore. And so very, very sad part of this. And again, now, We talked about Kafka and how he felt like his family saw him. So you can see that's the exact same thing here. He really feels that he is also a burden, or felt he was a burden on his family. And I feel like he and Gregor are the same person, minus the bug part. Um, Even the sister, she says, we must try to get rid of it, his sister finally said to his father, for his mother heard nothing in the midst of her coughing. It's going to kill you both. I can see it coming. When people have to work as hard as we do, they can't bear this kind of constant torture at home. I can't bear it anymore. And she began crying so hard that her tears flowed down her mother's face, where she began mechanically wiping them away with her hand. So she says, you guys can't continue this way. All of this hard work and this disappointment is going to kill you. Now, I want to point something out, and I'm not sure Kafka was trying to deliberately do this or not, but let's point back to the beginning of this when Gregor was working himself silly to where he couldn't even have any kinds of friendships or relationships. He was working hard too, and no one seemed to care as long as the money was coming in. Excuse me, I'm getting sick, I think. I've been fighting it for days. We get this. We know that Kafka liked to comment on the absurdity of bureaucracy and the capitalistic society. And again, this isn't like Kafka's not advocating. It's not like I'm a capitalist or I'm a communist. Or I'm a socialist. There's this in between area, and you can still not believe in socialism, but still see the flaws in the capitalist society. And Kafka kind of sees that, and he's like, the worker gets abused. They get stomped on. They get just treated like they're nothing. Even if we were to realize how powerfully important workers are. In this pandemic we're in right now. I just got done watching a commercial before I made this video, and it was for Walmart, and the CEO of Walmart's thanking all the heroes that are working in Walmart right now, which is great, but it would probably be better if maybe, you reward your good employees with better pay. Not all your employees. Some people are lazy. I hate when people do that. They go, well, all these fast food workers that want $15, they don't do anything really. And you're right, $15 is way too much. But there are some people at places that work hard. I mean, don't pay everyone the same. If you're a hard worker, you deserve to be paid better. And Gregor was a hard worker. He deserved to be not only paid better, but treated better. And guys, I think that a lot of times it's not the paycheck that matters to people. It's how we're treated. And, I'll take less pay for more respect any day of the week. So when the sister's sitting here looking at the parents like, this is going to kill you, all this hard work, it was killing her brother too. But, it was easy to look the other way on that because he wasn't complaining about it, and plus he was younger. So it's pretty disturbing. When they decide at this point he's got to go, Gregor can understand everything they're saying. Just imagine that pain. So he's trying to get back to his room, but instead he comes off like he's looking threatening. The father looks like he's about to hurt him. It finally clicks with them that he's trying to get away, and they just kind of let him get back into his room. In my opinion, that kind of ends our climax section. It also ends today's reading. So tomorrow, or then the next video, whatever, for Friday's reading, we're going to see how this story ends. And like I told you, to be prepared. It's not a good ending. It's coming to be a bad one. But I mean, that's what you expect from this. You don't want to expect that all of a sudden he turns back into a real boy and is all of a sudden, the family loves him again and he gets his job back and makes all this money and everyone lives happily ever after. That would cheapen what Kafka's doing here. So, we're going to read the next section later. Be prepared. It's not going to be a happy ending. And then we'll discuss what Kafka's doing with this as we close it out. All right. There's not a lot of reading. Tomorrow's reading is actually pretty short, too. It's probably about the same as today's, honestly. So I try to keep it light for you guys because the subject matter definitely isn't. But the workload hopefully is, and then you're able to get it done and move on and still enjoy some time with your families. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this, those of you that did, and I hope it was helpful. All right. Keep yourself safe and sane. I love all of you.